Hey everyone, welcome back to OCD Recovery's YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about sweating the small stuff. And I'm still getting used to the horizontal camera because I have to look at the edge, like I said, and I'm so used to wanting to look at the screen. So it's going to take me a couple videos to remind myself that I'm talking to basically the edge of the phone. And today we're going to talk about why sweating the small stuff is more than likely a little bit more important than most people believe. And this is not just for OCD and anxiety recovery. This is if you're going through a really tough time in your life. Maybe you lost a child. Maybe you just left a severe traumatic experience. Maybe a war zone. Maybe you got in a motor vehicle accident where a family member was killed. Drunk driving. Of course, OCD and anxiety recovery, and why the small stuff actually is important, and why we have to be careful of some of the all or nothing people that we listen to on social media, and why all or nothing conversations tend to get the most amount of likes and views, is because it's easy to connect to something that doesn't take a lot of thought. I know, because I did this my entire life. It just takes a lot of effort and self-awareness to look at things from a compassionate middle ground, holding a belief, but maybe being open-minded about it. And this is one of those topics, because a lot of people I hear all the time say, making your bed doesn't matter at all. Zero. It has no effect on your life. That's so incorrect and rigid that I can show you 100 ways why it matters, depending on who you're working with. So before I go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Let me know what you think about this video. So let's just jump right into it. What are some of the small stuff that matter? Getting up in the morning, making your bed, brushing your teeth, flossing your teeth, I do at night, keeping a cleaner bathroom, shutting the toilet seat, keeping a cleaner kitchen, which is behind me, a cleaner, area, like stuff over here, just to, oh, look how nice that is, and stuff like that. Those type of things do matter. Now, a singular habit by itself doesn't mean a whole lot. Some habits can, but most of them don't matter as a standalone habit. I always use the penny in the bucket. If you have a bucket, a 5-gallon bucket, and you put a singular coin in there, such as making your bed, it doesn't weigh a whole lot. But if you add making your bed, flossing your teeth, brushing your teeth, being respectful to your partner and friends around you, not always starting every conversation with I disagree, which I did a lot, being more open-minded, keeping a cleaner house, cleaning your car, cleaning your toilet, all those type of things, you're adding so many pennies to the bucket, and you build frustration tolerance. So when you look at people online, let's say you take someone who has $100 million net worth, so it's very alluring, and you say, oh my gosh, I hear people all the time, $10 million is not a lot of money. Yes, it is. $10 million is a fuckload of money. That's insane to say, even in the inflationary world that we live in. But we've been so convinced, there's 8.1 billion people, there's 3,500 billionaires. I see so many young kids say, oh, it's easy to become a multi-hundred million. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. There's a reason why we have a term called average. The reason it's called the average is because most people are average in their work ethic and their behavioral response and their self-awareness. In order to make a lot more money for most people, their work ethic is much superior than the average. That's why they're above average. And a lot of people don't want to sustain that because it takes a lot of effort and doing things when you don't want to do it, such as all these small habits, especially when you're suffering with anything. It's why I use the beginning opening statement. It's not just OCD and anxiety recovery. It's all hardships. So let's use an example again. You were in a motor vehicle accident. Maybe you were texting, the car flipped, your best friend died, okay? This is going to need a lot of belief work. There's going to be a lot of self-hatred. A lot of unconditional self-acceptance will be needed. A lot of forgiveness, whether no one else forgives you or not. It might take you a couple years to get back on your feet. I have met people who have gone through really traumatic experiences like this, where they just completely shut down. Similar to I did. I was in the mental hospital. I didn't want to live anymore. I completely shut down. Didn't want to do anything. If I wanted to change that, so there was a lot of things I had to do. I had to start making my bed in the morning. It gave me some sort of sense of accomplishment. So back to transition a little bit, and I've gotten better at explaining my transitions because, as my wife always says, not everyone can keep up with your train of thought, Nick, because you're ADHD. So I've gotten better at being aware, which is difficult for me to transition back so we don't lose people. And that original statement I was saying about the people who are worth $100 million, I can think of at least 3 people right now that everyone loves. Most young people love. And I'm sure they're intelligent beyond belief in their own specific ways. And one of them, who I've read one of his books. I think he's very intelligent when it comes to business. I've heard him say, making your bed has no difference on your life at all. Just that statement in the rigidity of how he says it gives me clear-cut insight into what that person is thinking. We are experts of the mind at OCD and anxiety recovery. We have to be. You cannot recover from chronic OCD without being an expert in psychological outlooks, transitioning from rigid to unconditional self-like other acceptance, and changing your behaviors. It's not possible to recover without that. And that's okay to say that, because people are weird about this stuff. This is another topic for another time, and people don't want to highlight what they're good at, and they're just because they're afraid of bragging, and no, I don't want to sound like braggadocious or egotistical. Something inherently wrong with that unless you're fully attaching it to who you are. So when I hear people who are well-intentioned say stuff like that, like, oh, I can, make $3 million a year, 300 grand a month, and have a messy house. That's cool. You're an outlier. You're not really the norm, and most people won't be like you. The way I live my life is very outlier specific. Erica, as much as I love her, would not be able to maintain the way I live my life. That's nothing against Erica. She does a lot of things better than me in many ways. I have to work a lot harder at being balanced in my conversations and seeing things from my wife's eye than she needed to, because how she was raised with particular communication skills and balance. Erica would not want, or don't think would physiologically be capable of keeping up with the way that I work. That's nothing against her. It's just she gets more tired than I do. It's not just beliefs on this. There's more than likely genetic components. I went to bed really late last night, and I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning today because I had to go to the gym because I have a really long day today and a really long day tomorrow. And I feel a little bit slightly more on edge today just because I worked a lot so far this week, but I will keep doing that. I just make it work. And I told people in the demotivation webinar yesterday, don't aspire to be like me, because it's not good for most people. They don't want to live like this. I've heard really successful people say, a lot of people want to be like me. There's a specific multi-billionaire, and all the comments were like, boo-hoo, Mr. Billionaire, it would be easy to be you. Fuck no, it wouldn't be. Absolutely not. People can't handle a YouTube comment, a negative YouTube comment. Can you imagine getting a phone call from your attorney at 2:30 in the morning being like, you got to go to court, my friend. You're being sued again. Like, people have no conception of why the small things matter to build up to the large things. Most that are not outliers have a very difficult time handling the large difficulties and responsibilities in their life without set standards and some sort of task perfection on the small things. It matters a lot more than you think. And just make a list of some of the stuff. And you could start really, really, really small. I had to start really small. I was 50 pounds overweight, so I was at 23 kilos. I smoked a lot of vape, smoked like 2 Juul cartridges a day. I watched adult websites every day for like 30 minutes, 45 minutes a day. I had a big problem with all that. Massive video game addiction. Played 70, 80, 90 hours a week. Wouldn't sleep. Would play for like 36 hours straight. I would drink Bang energy drinks, 300 milligram caffeine drinks at 1 o'clock in the morning. It was just a nightmare. Whilst doing this, my whole life was instant gratification. Dopamine. There's nothing inherently wrong with some of this stuff. Some people can balance it, some people can't. That is a personal, individual experience. I'm very good at not comparing myself to anyone anymore. I can look at people, aspire to be like them, and take things from them, and I'm sure people take things from me, and vice versa. But I don't need to be like any of those individuals anymore because I've changed my beliefs about that. But anyway, getting back to the small things. Just look at where you can improve on some of the small things in your life. I had a phone call hour and a half, where the person, I said to them, what do you do? They go to work, come home, and then they read. Why do you read? Because reading is very serenity-based for me. I get lost in the book. There's someone that really enjoys reading. But I'm not trying anything new. That goes to show you why the small stuff matters. Maybe going outside your routine, trying a movie or something, or going for a walk. No, I don't want to do that because then it brings up my fears, etc. You're not going to be able, 99.99999, I would like to say 100% on this one and be fully rigid, will not be able to reach robust, unconditional self-life, other acceptance with good habits if they don't start with the small stuff. I have not met that person yet. Is there an outlier? Sure, but I haven't met them yet. And that is what matters in getting things done. Like when I have forgiveness for myself, there's a whole nother conversation where people, then they don't sweat the small, they sweat the small stuff, then they beat themselves up. That's another problem. We're not going to talk about that in this video, where you have to learn leniency and compassion. Just talking about the behavioral actions in this video. So for me, one thing I like to do is I like to have my daily calendar. I have my big calendar system, but I have a notepad, which I cut in half, must do and like to do for the next day. I write that 6 days a week. I don't do it on Saturday nights for Sunday, unless there's something I really have to not forget or a big piece of content I'm doing. I do that. I make sure all my patient notes are done in my chiropractic, and me and my wife have dinner together every night, most nights, probably 98, 99% of the year together, unless we're traveling or out to dinner. And then we wash all the dishes before I go to bed. Like those type of things give me a good sense of accomplishment. And I like what Jim Rohn says, checking it off the list feels accomplishment. It is a sense of accomplishment. You might not, don't look out for that, because again, we can branch off into 1,000 different what ifs, because people ask a million questions because we have OCD and they want to over-explain anything. So getting comfortable with not being perfection in the conversation is critical, or the explanation of things. Yes, you could be like, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? Just allow the confusion to be there and start with the small stuff. So you got to be careful of the stuff you listen to. And another thing too, to end it, some of the best role models over the last 5 to 10 years that people really look up to in the mental health space, unfortunately, are becoming very rigid in their anger on their podcast, which is understandable. I would not imagine being attacked every day of your life, all day, forever. I mean, it's no wonder why people act a certain way. So totality speaking has always been high, but it's really high right now because of social media and that what it's attracting. It wants instant, short. This is the way it is. You're a fucking idiot if you don't do it like this, etc. Just being aware of that stuff. There's some truth in a lot of the stuff, but it doesn't need to be held so rigidly. So thank you again. Please reach out, Phil@OCDrecovery.com. We work all over the world, every time zone. Hope to hear from you soon. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.